I'm Brenda.
And I'm Kristi. We're two friends from high school who are connecting and reconnecting over music and memories.
Welcome to Normal Bias Podcast.
We're glad you're here.
James, is it recording? Is it going?
This reminds me of the Brave Collective because every time we would start, are we recording? Yes, Brenda, you're on. You were on the air.
Okay, I usually see it says recording and doesn't today, right now. Hey, y'all.
Hey, you are on the air with Dr. Brenda. Come on. What's your next question?
Live from my bathroom. We're about to get intimate.
Oh, we should be like Nick Offerman and
we're not wearing any pants, so that's perfect.
We should be like Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally and get in our bed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That would have been
Wait,
great.
We could stop.
Okay, just what?
We could stop and go record in the bed.
The light's not as good over there, so
I'm all about whatever. So y'all, welcome back to our podcast. Hey James.
Hello.
I'm here with Kristi and her husband James, and I'm so excited. So I thought we were going to be talking to my friend Tracy, but this is bonus. As I've been ready. I've been excited to talk to you, James.
yeah, I became available, so they bumped me right in. Sorry, Tracy. You had to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you're wearing is Rush. So James is, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see James's shirt. But if you're listening, James is wearing a Rush concert shirt.
And you're wearing New Kids on the Block. We're both representing our people.
Yes, we are. I'm wearing my New Kids shirt.
And I'm wearing a tutu, so I don't know what that says about me in this situation.
What was that song? What was the band that had the song about Moonland? Oh, it was from the 90.
Bare Naked Ladies?
No, I'm gonna have to look this up.
Look it up, James. So here we are talking with Kristi and James, and we've been kind of toying around what should we talk about because they work together, and so that's just a natural conversation that we've just a good starting point. But then I was like, well, I want to know a bunch of other things too, but I mean, I think that we will talk about that. How long? So Kristi and James live in Brenham.
Hold on a second. It's the KLF.
KLF.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did they have a song with Tammy Wynette?
Remember that from 91, 92?
I do. KLF. I do remember that. That was a jam in the day. I may have to listen to that later.
Can't use more than 7 seconds without paying for rights.
Right. I thought it was 11 seconds. That's good to know.
Oh, well, we're going to go with yours.
Okay. Well, so my sister, there was a friend of hers that was that did sound and music for theater. And so I recall he said 11 seconds, but I could be wrong. But
yeah. So YouTube, in case when you flag, it's 11 seconds. Okay.
11. Yeah.
We only played.
Brenda's sister's friend said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got to be true.
Did 31 flavors last night.
Yes.
Hey, we managed to get that in 2 podcasts in a row, but y'all won't hear that until next week. So
till next week. Yeah. I love Ferris Bueller. Can I just say that? So, okay. So I want to know about Rush really quickly. Is that the band, your favorite band? Do you have a favorite band?
Yeah, it's my favorite band.
Yeah. Favorite band.
Actually, yeah, I have several, but I'd say Rush, my favorite band.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. And you saw them in concert. Was it the lead singer that just passed away?
No, the drummer.
The drummer. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them in concert 6 times.
Oh, that's cool. I've never seen them. That's one of the bands I wish I had seen, but anywho. So, how long have y'all been married?
How long have we been married?
Y'all just had an anniversary, right? Yes? No.
We're laughing about this because she's the one that can't remember how long we've been married.
But I remember everybody's birthday, like what you were wearing when I met you. But I have a block in my head about this date for some reason. We got married on May 9th, 1998.
That's right.
Ding, 22. Did I get it all right?
I was going to remember that.
2 o'clock in the afternoon. I remember that because we didn't want to have to do a meal.
Okay, 22
Set it
years.
on a budget.
And I remember that now because I was going to remember it, which I forgot. Because May 10th, 1991 was my prom when we went to prom. Why do I remember that? I don't know.
I don't remember.
That's such
our
a
prom
weird thing to
date.
remember.
I know it is. It's very strange. I can remember, and it's like there'll be some like person from school who I really wasn't that close to, but I'll remember their birthday.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very weird.
Audrey Browning's birthday. Now she's Audrey Martin, October 23rd.
Yes.
Dawn Adams Cole, October 4th.
Oh yeah.
Let's keep going. Shay's October 13th. Jennifer's June 27th.
June 27th.
Holly Landry Morgan is the day after, June 28th.
Is it really? See, thankfully that Facebook reminds me when people's birthdays are now, because I can't remember. Like, we will be talking, James, and I'm like, will lose my train of thought right in the middle of conversation. It's terrible. But okay, so you guys have been married 22 years. I know that you met at Sam Houston.
Yes.
James.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
We met November 30th of 1993.
Yep.
So I
and we
graduated.
both remember that. We both remember meeting, but our accounts are wildly different.
No, our accounts are exactly the same. The feelings were different. But so I graduated in 92 and got lost for a while. So I didn't go to school in 93. He graduated So the rest of the story is I graduated at 17. I skipped a grade. So I graduated.
Oh, that's right.
And then kind of lost my mind for a little bit at the end of high school. And then not really, but I took a year off because I needed it.
Well, I mean, she was institutionalized. So yeah.
I worked at the gap, so we called it my gap year. And then as I got more worldly and realized there is such a thing as a gap year, I was like, I'm going to keep it as my gap year so people think I traveled. But no, I worked in Pasadena. But anyway, so I went to school a year later to a school than I had planned. And then at the Tree of Light ceremony, I was a freshman leader, and it was a big night because I wrote the thing that Jenna Jackson got to read it, but I wrote the whole thing. I rewrote the whole How the Grinch Stole Christmas with the Sam Houston twist. And this other freshman leader got to read it out loud, so I was jealous of that. So I was probably cranky, and I was at the.
You think?
I still remember this. I
think you're still a little cranky.
I still name her, but she was Dean Bowman's favorite. But anyway, so I was standing at the gingerbread and waffle.
Is that why we refer to her as that bleep Jenna Jackson?
No, she's not a bleep, but she did get to read my writing out loud to everybody. But anyway, so I'm serving gingerbread and wassail, and I know exactly what I was wearing down to I had a navy bandana in my hair, and this was the year, Brenda, that my hair was growing out. Do you remember? You've seen pictures of me in that odd in between year. So I wasn't really cute yet.
No, you were cute.
I was just, but anyway, so I was standing there in my Levi's and my freshman leader shirt with my navy bandana, and I'm standing behind the table, and up swaggers this dude.
And what was he wearing?
He was wearing a faux Top Gun, like a distressed, like a bomber jacket. But I'm pretty sure it's fake leather.
No, it was totally.
Did he have the aviator glasses?
No, it was nighttime.
No.
Okay.
I didn't start wearing aviators till about 15 years later.
Okay.
He probably still would have had the jacket if I hadn't gotten rid of it. But anyway, so he swaggers up.
That was the best jacket ever.
Swaggers up, and he says, and he's like, got his little entourage. He's like, "Can I have some more wassail?" And me, having the dry sense of humor that I have, I said,
"Bless you."
I said, "No, that's it. Just no."
No smile. No, totally straight face. She said, "No."
And I don't even think I got to take a breath. And the dude spun on his heel and then swaggered away, but a little faster. And then, that was it. Didn't think about him again. But he walked off and he hated me. Made fun of me.
3 full years.
Saw me.
Yep. I'd see her out at Hokies or somewhere out on campus, and I would make fun of her, and I'd be like, "Hey, that's that wassail girl."
That wassail girl. Dude.
And then one day,
one word, so judgy, James. She just said no.
And I, if he had stuck around, I probably would have finished the joke. I don't know what the rest of the joke was.
My throat was so dry from singing Christmas carols at the top of my lungs, putting out Christmas spirit into the world, and then to be treated that way at a public event that
Right.
at a state university that I was paying good money. Well, somebody was paying good money for me to go. I didn't need that kind of, torture.
You have to. She was right off of the, recreating the Grinch Stole Christmas. Is that what you told me? She was in character. She was still.
She really was.
I was a little grinchy.
You're a little Grinchy.
So,
But wow. Okay. So
I hated her for 3 years after that.
so that was our freshman year. And that was November 30th. I would meet in January, right when we got back from Christmas vacation. I would meet the guy that I would end up engaged to. So then wasn't the first guy I was engaged to.
I was thinking, yeah.
That one came with a big diamond, no pressure. But anyway, so I met him.
Yeah, well, James has a big giant lens.
It didn't.
I was wondering where you're going with that, Brenda.
Okay.
I was an artist at the time, so it was a pencil, but
Okay.
it's a lens these days.
Okay.
Edit this out.
What? We're talking about what I was studying to be a graphic designer. And now I'm a photographer. I thought we were talking about.
What?
I thought
We're
we were
talking about
talking about. We're talking about our jobs. What
So
are you
Kristi,
talking about?
you were with someone, you were engaged.
I know what you were talking about, you sicko. Oh my gosh.
I am in the potty, so.
That's why you have the
That
potty
would
mouth.
be hilarious if you were sitting on the potty. Thank you for not.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, okay,
Oh
so
my
that
gosh.
was our
Okay.
freshman year. And then, so 2 years later, our third year there, our junior year, I was still engaged. And so the summer between our freshman and sophomore year, I started working for the Department of Student Activities, which was over all the organizations and the Greeks and the cheerleaders, not the cheerleaders then, just the Greeks. And so our office was right in front of where the elevator was, the second floor in the student center. And then the vice president's office was kind of like an L, like catty corner. Mm-hmm. So our junior year, my desk was in front of the window, and this guy all the time would come up on the elevator wearing like a t-shirt and gym shorts and carrying a big blue bag. And just a guy, like a nice guy. And we'd smile and wave, but I didn't know who he was.
I knew who she was.
You knew I was the waffle girl, didn't you?
I did.
Dang it.
Me anyway. Oh, sweet. So anyway, he's just this guy. And then that winter, I was president of our program council. And that winter, we interviewed James to be the chairperson for the Spirit and Traditions Committee. Turns out he was the mascot and all about school spirit. And we hit it off as friends immediately. And we became friends as my other relationship was ending. And
so hold on, we're going to pause this for just a second.
Yeah, because.
So when they interviewed me, I had not had any dealings with her up to that point. I had been talking to, I forget who I had even been talking to about it, or Ruben maybe. But stop it. But anyway, I walked into the room and there she was, my arch nemesis, sitting at the end of the table, like Lex Luthor at the end of this long board table. And I'm like, oh crap.
Okay, and you.
But it turned out okay.
It turned out okay, and so he knew you, but did you not remember him?
Mm-mm. And I don't know at what point
because you remember what he wore, and you remember what you said.
But we didn't know each other.
Okay.
We didn't know each other.
And I think this was a God thing. I think this was a couple of years ago, it was the summer of 2018 that I read the Annie F. Downs 100 Days to Brave and learned about divine detours. And I recognized that moment as a divine detour, like that. Like it was important that I remember that moment of meeting him. So he has since changed the story that it must have been.
I've done some soul searching at the time.
He's decided that it wasn't hate at first sight, it was love at first sight, but I heard his pride, so that's why he acted out.
Yeah. Because here's what made, so when we were cleaning out the garage a couple years ago, you were there. You were a part of this.
You were there.
I was there.
We found a picture of her like at that event or like right around that time. And I remembered, I was like, Oh,
I just had.
I remember like it came flooding back to me that
Mhm.
like I was like I remember being nervous going up to her table to ask for wassail because I thought she was cute,
And then
Aw.
I was a jerk.
and then she was a jerk.
Which is
She
funny because I'm in this relationship. Like, I'm the nicest person you'll ever meet. Everybody but one
Ever
person likes me.
ever meet.
And
ever.
you are a jerk.
Like you could know that, Napoleon.
Kid.
No. So okay. So okay. I'm trying to be in James's mind, he's not liked Wassel Girl for, she
Yeah.
just stomped on his heart. And then he walked, because this is like a rom-com right all of a sudden. So then he walks in and there she is, Molly Ringwald. He's like, dang it. Like of all, like he's probably excited about this interview and this opportunity. And then there you are.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So at what point, because she's Wassel Girl, you hated her for 3 or 4 years. She said no, all the things. And then you see her and then, oh my gosh, what of all people, at what point in the interview or when did you decide to let the wall down and give her a chance? Was she still
This is
cute?
the
Like,
next semester.
mm-hmm.
I met James, we interviewed him, and he joined program council, and we actually had a retreat that spring.
Mhm.
And so my fiance at the time graduated that December, right about the time that we interviewed him, James, for program council. And like things were not going well, but things were falling apart, and it would take me like till March to put all the pieces together, like what was not right in our relationship. But part of it was like I knew, like when I ended it with him, by that point James and I were really good friends. And I was
So there was
I was friends with a couple of other guys that I really respected and really liked. And I was like, there are guys that are better for me. Like this is not,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't settling for this guy. I think he's a great guy. He's a nice guy. He's a great guy. He just wasn't the guy for me. So I broke up with him thinking that I might date James, that I might date a couple of other guys that I won't name on the podcast. And that was like a month later, like that was it.
Yeah, and so I had made friends with the multicultural, I forget what his title was, but multicultural coordinator for program council, Carlton. And so he and I started hanging out. Yeah, no, I can't.
No,
he could break it down.
Carlton didn't do the
So Carlton and I used to call each other and watch Lois and Clark together. I'm a big Superman fan.
Yes, you are.
And he somehow in conversation it came up that he watched that show too. So like we would, this was the 90s, so we would, we would just call each other and like watch the show together, and he, and that was fun. And so the three of us, and he was really good friends with her, so the three of us started hanging out together. And that's
going to the movies,
and going to the movies, and just general hangout, just.
And then you came to work with us.
Yeah, I came to work for student activities as a graphic designer.
So like the way our office was at the time, like I was in the main office, like when you walked in, and then we didn't even connect to your office. He was across the hall in the program council wing, like where like the graphic designers were as far.
We didn't start out that way.
Yeah, y'all started out with Alex right there with us, but they ended up like in an office
in the back.
across the hall.
They put us as far away from them as
they were loud. Like they were like, that was like a bunch of rowdy boys. And then when James kind of moved up and became the lead guy and stuff, it got a lot rowdier. So it was really funny.
I love that time. That was a lot of fun. We were always playing music in the office, and it was a lot of fun. The people it was a really fun, vibrant atmosphere. It was
fun.
Great adults, like we were adults.
So you guys, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So Lynn says we have movie love.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the sweetest things anybody's ever said. Like the flip side of it is we have all of this awesomeness but we also both have big feelings and big personalities, and so we can really like butt up against each other, rub up against each other.
Yeah.
Anymore, but
I definitely have felt that in that
well,
garage. There was some.
I was gonna say, Brenda has worked through like you've been our therapist a little bit, and even doing this podcast early on in the podcast, maybe like episode 2 or 3, Brenda and I talked about something sensitive that really, I don't want to say it triggered James, but it kind of triggered James, and so it led to, and that was in the middle of all of this stuff with the pandemic and being at home. So it really has that really led us to some deep conversations and some soul searching, and we're going to see how many times we can say soul searching today on a very special episode of the podcast. Soul searching.
Soul searching. No.
Dr. Brenda.
So I had like a full circle moment here because you guys worked together before.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So that kind of where it all started and look at you.
No, I've never really put that together.
I was like,
yeah.
Did you see our looks? We were like,
yeah.
Oh, that's right, we did. But so we have talked about it because Casey watched The Office, and now we're watching The Office with her. As she listens to The Office ladies every week. Every week we watch an episode of The Office with her, and so like we think we were the original Jim and Pam.
I think y'all were, because they even had a little animosity, and then Pam, didn't let Jim in. I don't know if she would have said no to Jim at the Wassail because she was
a lot nicer than I am. She probably was
a little bit.
But I guess I was in a snarky mood. But you know what?
The Grinch thing totally makes sense.
Have I ever told you that piece?
I've heard it, but I've never put it all together like that.
So the other piece was this. I think we've talked about this. I've talked about this with Casey. So this was, our kids can't even imagine. We did not own computers. We didn't have, like, I took a typewriter to college, like a legit typewriter. And
I didn't even have that. I borrowed a friend's down the hall.
So I roomed my freshman year instead of living in the honors house and going that route. I lived with a friend from home in her dorm. So I moved in. She was going to be a sophomore because, all my friends had graduated a year ahead. Oh, right. So I moved into her room, into her world, and it did not go well. So I've already told our kids, like, do not live with your friends in college. It didn't go well. And so by November, we were really at odds. And so I had typed this whole Grinch thing on her word processor.
How's it little word processors?
A word processor. And then we got into it because something like she didn't want me to print it or something. So we had a big fight. And then this other girl got to read it after I'd spent all that time writing it. And then you want to wassail.
So
it's no wonder I was a jerk.
You walked into a big, bless your heart, James. He just wanted some wassail. And
I just wanted to take in some holiday fun, and no, I had to walk into all this.
Walked in, but you know what? But I think about it, like, what if I didn't remember you, or what if I didn't just remember the other? I mean, that would be super awkward.
God, they say His timing is perfect, and y'all had to do all that. So where were you? So when she said no to you, were you dating anyone? Like, let's talk about had she said yes and y'all flirted and talked a little bit, like, and could that have gone somewhere, or were you with someone also? Like,
no, I wasn't dating by anybody at that time.
I was single. I was single at that point.
You were single at that time?
I started dating a girl a couple weeks later, but I wasn't dating anybody at that time.
Okay. So
my first semester at college, I dated a guy when I first got there.
I was kind of in between. I had just broken up with my high school girlfriend. And was like in between.
Kind of just So did high school girlfriend go to Sam Houston also? No, she went somewhere else. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that you said no.
High school girlfriend is his only ex-girlfriend that I really like. Some of them have mustaches.
Stop it.
Stop. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then y'all got married in 98. Okay. James is a graphic designer. You're in education. So, okay, this is not a very good segue, but I want to know before I hang up so you marry James Pharaon. Tell me about Pharaon. What does your name mean? Where does it originate? Like,
Wait,
where are your
while you're putting your thoughts together, I do want to say I really liked me, Kristi Clarkson. I liked it a lot. And my dad was not, I'm the baby of 3. I'm the only girl. My dad was not down with me losing Clarkson.
Well, mainly because he couldn't spell Pharaoh.
right.
But so at our rehearsal dinner, we had our friend who married us. We knew the pastor who married us was also the guy who worked at student activities with us. He took Carlton's place when Carlton moved up. But Don, when he pronounced, when he, at the end of the rehearsal, he was like, and now I'll say, presenting Mr. and Mrs. And he said Clarkson. So he said that. And James turned around and walked in and was like, wait, what? We were trying, my dad, up until the time that I got my new social security card, my dad was really hoping that James would change his name so I wouldn't have to
He wanted me to change my name to Clarkson.
Oh, wait, I have one more. Can I say one more about my dad?
Go ahead.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Nope.
So I was rookie.
Oh,
so the first school where I taught, James and I lived 45 minutes away, and I drove into North Shore to teach. And my school was on Wallaceville, and my parents lived on Uvalde. So my dad, coming home from work, would drive by my school every day. And so at the end of the year, I was voted Rookie of the Year, and they put it on the marquee.
I remember seeing that.
And my dad, he, one day, he was kind of all and I said, what is it? And he said, well, I thought you were Rookie of the Year. I said, I am. He said, well, what is that? And I was like, that's my name.
That is
to the day the man died, 12 years after we got married, a month shy of 12 years. I don't think my dad ever spelled Pharaon.
When he gave her a check for her birthday or something, he would still write Kristi Clarkson.
Clarkson. Wow.
He could say Pharaon. He acknowleded Pharaon.
He learned how to spell it.
Yeah.
So that was my dad. Okay, so tell us about.
But he was awesome. He and I loved each other. It was great.
Oh, I love that.
Thanks.
I love that, and I love that her dad had big feelings about things, kind of like his daughter.
Where do you think I got it from? And my dad was a true redhead.
Yeah.
So if he had big feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my dad. Tell us about Pharaon, because that actually, it means something where your people are from.
Where do you think it's?
Well, I feel like it's like Egyptian. I don't know why, but it just sounds like Asia.
What does it sound like? What does it look like?
What does it look like? So in my head, when I see Pharaon, I don't know why I think of the word phoenix, PH, and I think of, this is me. That's what I think of. And I think of pyramids. I don't know why.
How about Pharaoh?
Oh, or Pharaoh. Yes.
Yeah.
Duh.
That's the reason. So supposedly my family is descended from the Pharaohs, and that's why I make everyone bow when they enter the room, or when I enter the room.
That's why I do that. That's
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's very cool.
Yeah. It's
Pharaoh.
I carry a certain presence. Let's just be honest.
So James's real name is Salah. James is named after both of his grandparents.
Wow, you just dropped that on the podcast.
Yeah, you did. I didn't. I
haven't gone by that since 6th grade.
Oh my gosh, that's okay. Tell me about that.
So my dad's from Syria.
Okay.
And my mom is she was born and raised in Houston, but my grandmother was adopted, so we don't really know. We know that my grandfather, his family was from up in Tennessee somewhere, but as far as my grandmother's side, I have no idea. So, but I know I'm half Arabic.
Okay, so Salah is your given name, and so in school you went by that. Is James your middle name?
Up until 6th grade, yeah. I was named after both my grandfathers.
Oh,
so my grandfather on my dad's side was Salah, and my mom's dad was James.
James Orion.
James Orion.
So
Orion. They said it Orion.
Mm-hmm.
He said it, and his grandfather said Orion. So it was Orion, but we say Orion.
So that's where Noble's middle name.
I was just about to say, what about that's Noble? Yeah, I love that. I did not know that was your real name, your first name, given name.
Yeah.
So
So that's where Pharaon comes from.
yeah. So his grandfather
And
actually was somebody in the Syrian government.
Yeah, he was an advisor to the king before the revolution in '68, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was really high up in the government. But so,
That's
Your dad
but
came
if you say my name correctly,
yes. Tell
you
me.
almost have to like dislodge your throat.
Dad
So,
gum.
so for your last name or your first name? Oh man, is it
My
time
last name.
already?
It's
Dang it.
you like to say it correctly. You have to say it like Pharaon.
Fra-
It's like you have to say it like
Fra-
really forcefully, like you're about to hit somebody in the throat. Pharaon.
Wow. That is
And
very cool. I'm going to
my
practice that.
friends in Kenya think that's hilarious because
Oh my gosh, that's a whole other thing.
I know it. And I heard your timers. I know you guys are on a time crunch and I'm just like barely.
well, I tell you what,
the iceberg.
I'll go make a call and then you guys can talk and come back.
Okay. Can you do that? Are you?
Yeah, it'll be a quick call today.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
right,
cool.
well, you know what? Who knows? We may just keep recording.
Yeah. Who knows?
Just got
So you guys.
interesting.
There's a
Dun,
bride
dun,
that-
dun.
There's a bride that was supposed to get married in October, but her wedding venue canceled.
Oh,
Cancel all their weddings, so they're going to. It's not an elopement. They're going to have a small ceremony at the courthouse at the end of July instead. So I'm trying to put
coordinate.
together a team and put together a wedding, photo and video for them for that.
That is awesome. I love it. Go do your thing, James.
Okay, I'll be right back.
James,
Right here doing everything.
Pharaon, creative.
How was your bride call?
Oh, it was so good. They were so excited. So, and it's going to be better than I expected it. So they're having this ceremony at the courthouse downtown, and then they were going to head to Houston for a dinner at Del Frisco's, and I knew that much. But so what I wanted to propose to them was that to put together a team for the ceremony and then take a couple of us down and shoot some photo and video of them at their dinner and then have a little photo shoot in the Galleria afterwards.
Fun.
But it turns out like that they love that idea. They were totally on board with that, and they've rented a party bus, so we don't even have to drive down. Like we can ride on the bus and keep shooting with them, and then ride back with them.
Yeah.
For their covers. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's they're gonna get a full day's coverage after all of like their day, and so even though their big wedding was canceled, they're still gonna get like a good,
Good big party.
a good day. Yeah. So
Silver linings. I love
You're
it.
shooting in a mask though. Say yes.
Yeah, I'll be shooting in a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So is it like, did we just give this bride's like wedding away? Can we talk about this on the podcast? Do I have to edit that out?
Yeah, it's not a secret.
Okay.
Okay. So
I didn't say
what
her
were we
name,
talking
so.
about?
when we left, when James had to go take his call, we had just talked about his name, his
Pharaoh.
given name.
Mhm.
Salah, Pharaoh. Looks like Pharaoh.
Yeah.
And where your family came from.
Yep.
So you guys
growing up with that name.
right. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Like kids are just awesome.
Kids are mean. Kids are
but they are mean. They are. But so did they call you that? Did they give you yucky
I had all kinds
names?
of names. Yeah, I had all kinds of names.
What were they?
Salami, Sloppy Joe. There were lots and lots of them.
I've never heard those. You know that?
Well, I haven't gone by that name since we've been together.
This is the stuff I love.
There was a lot more. But
So
slaw. Yeah.
that just so would you tell your mom like what do you do? I'm like that's just what you.
Well, it's a weird thing because so one day I went to school and all of a sudden my teachers, I had gym first period, and I went into gym and all of a sudden is Coach Brandt. And Coach Brandt called me James, and was like, he was calling out the roll, and he called James, and I was like, he's like, James, that's you, man. I was like, wait, what? And he said, yeah. So, and then my other teachers started calling me James. I was like, what is going on? So one of the teachers told me that my mom had gone up there and asked that they
Call you
call me
James.
James. My mom and I had not discussed this,
Mm-hmm.
so it was news to me. She said that I had come home crying because I had been picked on. I don't recall this, but
Mm-hmm.
it's totally feasible.
Sure.
Also, this was in the middle of your parents' divorce.
That's true. So there could have been some warfare there.
Well, so can I tell them some James trivia about what may or may not have happened in the hospital?
What?
There's debate over what James's name was supposed to be.
Oh, I don't know this.
You do know this
Go
because
ahead.
your mom has told me that his name was supposed to be James Salah. But somehow he came out of the hospital with Salah
James
birth certificate.
I don't think I remember that.
Yeah, so that's.
So yeah,
I don't think you caused your parents' divorce, but I mean, it probably wasn't you.
I probably did.
I don't think
It sounds like something I would do.
You.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go. We need to call the therapist before his office closes.
Right. So yay. So then you went by James. So do you think? Okay, so that was in like 6th grade.
6th grade.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
So it's been. I remember that time. I remember parts of that time really well, which is it's really weird for me to relate to Noble because he just finished 6th grade.
Oh yeah.
So I have some pretty, and that's the year my parents got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember that year fairly vividly in some aspects. And I remember how I felt a lot back then. And I just thought it was because my parents divorced. Turns out that, 12-year-olds just feel awkward.
Mm-hmm. That's a big
12-year-olds, 45-year-olds, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
When
But
I turn 45, I might feel awkward.
Well, Alex, who's the same age as Casey, he's 17 and a senior now, but he was going to the 6th grade when we were getting a divorce. And I just kept thinking, this is the worst timing ever. Like he's just, like you just said, like their body's changing, he had the pit hair going already and, just all the things. And then to throw, that into the mix, I was like, so sorry. So yeah,
Therapist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so, okay, so you're a photographer, and you went to college. You were to be in graphic design.
Yep.
Were you always like creative? What was young James? I know you
wanted to be a cartoonist. I thought I was going to be a syndicated cartoonist. I wanted to have a comic strip, and even up until I was 30. I still that's what I wanted to do with my life until about that time. I came home, we had a big conversation about it. And I even submitted a couple of comic strips to the syndicates for syndication, and none of them were picked up. I had a comic strip in college. Steve and I actually put together a comic strip.
I think I remember seeing some of those drafts when we were going through your things.
It's called March. Yeah, it was called March Brothers.
And
it's about this kid named Mark and his brothers. And
Steve, Brenda's brother-in-law.
Yeah. This is the guy who was married to Kristi's best friend from high school, who I knew from the ad agency, and we didn't all knew until at Spanish Flowers that one day.
Right.
Spanish Flowers, yeah.
And that y'all were in the same high school. Oh,
yeah,
we
went to the same high
love
school.
things like that. I love when things like all the dots connect, and it's like you were in these places at the same time, and who even knew?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And now we're like best friends.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so Kristi and I were talking to I'm moving all around from grade school to back
When are
to
we
college.
going to talk about my book or my film or my single? That's what I'm on the podcast to talk about, Brenda.
Oh man. Okay. At the end, we will do plugs at the end of the show. We'll let you
That's good. I need plugs.
follow James on all of the medias. No, I want to know when you became a cheerleader. Were you a cheerleader in middle school and high school? Was it
No,
just college?
So just high school, and we call them spirit leaders back then.
Spirit leader.
The
Okay.
guys at my school were called spirit leaders, and that was because we didn't dance. We refused to call ourselves cheerleaders because we didn't do the dancing and the girly stuff. We were UCA, not NCA, and the
Oh, okay. Jazz hands.
spirit fingers. But we were spirit leaders, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it because at our school we had an awesome cheer sponsor, and Miss Miller. The girls would be down there doing cheerleading stuff, but the guys, there were 4 of us, and we had full run of the stadium, and I was basically like a mascot. We got up in the stands. Our entire purpose for being there was to promote school spirit, however possible. So we would get up there and we would get up in the stands and yell with people and cheer with people. And I didn't tumble, but there was one of our guys tumbled, and we would get in the the parent section and the student section, and it was so much
fun.
It wasn't. And then I got to college and became a cheerleader there, and I hated it because we had to stand in one.
Oh, down that little pit. You couldn't.
Yeah. And you just had to stand in this one little spot. And the varsity, Sam Houston had a varsity and a junior varsity at that time. And I was on the varsity, the junior varsity team. And I felt bad for the varsity guys because they had to actually stand up on this platform. They had boxes. They were platforms, and they had to stand up on these platforms. The whole.
Well, stand up and hold the girls.
And hold the girls, do the stunts and all that. And it was like a 6x6 box that was raised off the ground about 1.5 feet, 2 feet, something like that. And it was horrible. It was the worst. I hated cheering in college because it wasn't at all what I thought it was.
I really like that. And that's a model that I don't know that I've even seen in high schools.
I like the spirit leader.
Yeah, way to go, Miss Miller. Like getting the crowd involved.
Yeah, that's what I see. I hate going to games, and because
it's not
the cheerleaders. I hate watching cheerleaders because they're down there, and most cheerleading squads do a horrible job. Because you're there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to promote school spirit. And you're there to get the crowd yelling for the team, right? And get them pumped up, get them yelling, however that is, whether it's with signs or chants or whatever. And they all do the same boring thing, which is, you're there to do a job just as much as the band is and the football team and
everybody else.
Yep.
So okay.
I'm a little bit opinionated about it.
Just a little bit. No wassel for them.
Yeah, right.
So, okay. So then did you have more fun being a mascot?
Oh yeah. Being a mascot is the best.
Because then it's like your own song and dance, your own show, you can pump up the crowd a little bit more there.
Yeah, I mean, because I was back to being a spirit leader, only nobody knew who I was. Even when I was a spirit leader in high school, it didn't matter because we were just out there having fun, doing our jobs, being dorks, and it was fun. It was great.
Being a dork is fun.
Yeah, it really was. But being a mascot was awesome too because I got away with stuff that I would like. Sammy got away with stuff that James would have gotten arrested for. And I got to flirt with all the pretty girls. Never got a date out of it though. Nobody knows who the mascot is.
But you got a wife out of it, didn't you? Propose?
3 years he was mascot, he was dating me, so.
Hello. And is that where you proposed? Tell me about how you proposed. Tell everyone. So you're a mascot at Sam Houston. You've been dating. Tell me about the day you proposed, because wasn't it in your mascot uniform costume? What is
Well,
the term?
so this was my senior year. It was supposed to be my senior year, and
It was my last. I knew it was going to be my last year of mascotting
yeah.
because I was headed into the heavy part of my senior year, and I knew that that I wasn't going to.
You got to hang up the head. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was about halfway through student teaching. I had maybe a month left. And so we had already decided that I wasn't going to be a teacher. We talked about this on another episode that I don't know which one it'll be, but we just talked about it, about how I was going to be a university vice president, and you and I
Oh,
were
yeah.
I was going to get my master's. You were going to get your master's in the same place. We'd live in the same apartment complex. And then after that, then we'd get married. And so this was out of the blue. Like we planned homecoming together. This was our last homecoming to plan together. No, I planned homecoming. That was my year. You and Melissa.
You go, girl.
No, I didn't. You did, but he did the logo and all the graphics and stuff. So we worked together, but homecoming that year was kind of my show.
Yeah.
And so I went into that day, all of my whole family came up, your whole family came up because it was our last homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
That's not why they came up.
Yeah.
They knew in advance.
Did they really?
They did.
Oh, I just thought it was because our last homecoming.
No, they knew in advance.
This is brand new information today.
It's not. You just forgot.
I do that a lot. Anyway, so we go into homecoming, and so I am exhausted by this point. And part of dating the mascot is helping him film video, like old school video.
No, I had a videographer, a friend named Steve Carmack, who I'm still friends with. He lives in College Station, and he was in the RTF department, radio, television, film. And he, for the last 2 years that I was Sammy, he videoed me for my competition tape. I'd send in a competition tape, it's like a highlight reel. I knew what I wanted to do. I Sammy did at that time, I did skits at halftime on the 50-yard line, and I'd put together a skit. And so at halftime of every home game, I would do a skit. I knew it far enough in advance that what my plans were, that I started building up to her. And I told Steve I was going to do this, Steve Carmack. I told Steve, I started telling her what a horrible job he was doing. And like, I'd come in just complaining and griping about him. Totally an act.
This I don't remember.
Totally an act. And
Poor
finally,
Steve.
I was like, because I needed to get her down there on the field to video. Because Steve, his senior project was to film me and make a video. So I had to get her behind the camera down there on the field where she usually wasn't. So I came in griping, complaining, and also because it was homecoming and she was planning homecoming, like, there was no way that was going to happen otherwise.
No.
So
I was a little busy
I'm
that day.
surprised it happened.
Yeah.
Well, but that was just part of the deal. Like if he needed help with something, like that was just part of the deal. And so it was, it was kind of like one more thing I had to do that day. So I'm on the 50-yard line, and I'm holding the video camera, and I'm holding
giant. Is it on VHS?
It
was VHS, yeah.
I'm standing there, and I'm holding the video camera, and Sammy is out. And so the way it works is the mascot is on the field in the suit, and then they have provided at that point a cassette tape with the music, the voiceover and stuff. So Sammy doesn't actually talk. It's James's voice through Sammy. Through the speakers. So I'm filming, and I'm so like this is for his senior tryout video. And so I'm like I'm filming and I'm filming and I'm filming. And it takes me a minute to realize that the record, like the music is like scratched. And James, in James's voice, says, I don't even know what you say. What do you say?
I had come out from behind her. So I had contacted a previous Sammy, and he had come to to Sam Houston on a couple of weekends and learned how I walk and stuff like that. And so,
Stop.
yeah, so he did his job so well that she actually went up and talked to him in the suit and didn't realize it wasn't. So I had gone home. He took over for me at the end of the first quarter. So he performed the whole second quarter as Sammy in the suit. I had gone home to take a shower and put on khakis and a shirt and a tie. And
Hashtag it was the 90s.
hashtag it was the 90s. And so he's out there doing the skit, and she's filming it, and I come at the appropriate time in the skit. I come
Filming the
walking
heck out of it.
around her and get down on one knee in front of her, and she's almost like, "Move, kid." I'm like,
No,
Yeah.
I just didn't even.
She didn't
even recognize.
yeah, she didn't even realize what was going on.
I'm filming Sammy so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
I realize what I'm hearing. Like my brain. What are you looking for?
I just realized I have this right here.
What does that
See what
say?
that says?
James. Oh, James proposes to Kristi on a cassette.
This is the cassette that I gave to the booth.
Oh my god! But hold on, I'm going to use that one for this week's.
Oh, yes, that's awesome.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
I love, wait,
We
hold
have-
it up so I can take your picture. Hold on.
Here, you do it.
Oh, you both can. Okay. Oh my gosh, that is okay.
So what do you say? You're like, Sammy, I want to say something. Or
Yeah,
something.
the record scratches, like, and so I'm mouthing the words with. I had recorded the voiceover previously, obviously,
Uh-huh.
and so I'm mouthing the words and I say, like, hold on, Sammy, there's something I need to say, and so I get down in front of her and I pull out the ring and I say, Kristi, will you marry me? And it takes her a second.
Still
And
filming.
she's still filming, and she's like, she gradually drops the camera, and our boss Linda comes and grabs the camera, and she starts, at this point she starts crying. She hasn't answered me yet,
Right.
and she's oh, yeah. And the team starts coming out.
There's regulations in college football about people being on the field.
Yeah, I can only be
Oh,
out there
jeez.
for a very certain amount of time.
Uh-huh.
And so I had arranged for my buddy Mark, who went on to be Sammy after me, but he had been out there in a skit earlier in a gator, what do you call it? A little cart, a gator. And so I had arranged for him to come and pick me up with Kristi and for us to do a victory lap around the track. So he picks us up. She has handed off the video camera to Linda, our boss, and she's just there crying.
Still haven't answered you?
Still hasn't answered me.
Oh,
We
jeez.
took our victory lap.
Did we do the whole lap, or did we?
We
just
did
go
the
to
whole lap, and the whole time I'm going so, and she didn't answer me till we got back to the tunnel where I changed at the field house, like 2-3 minutes later, and I'm just sweating like,
Oh my gosh, Kristi.
Well, but also
This week's office was Dwally, and Michael proposes to his girlfriend, and like in a public place like that, and it felt this was
Eerily
office,
similar.
obviously, but yeah, if watching that episode felt very like, I was like, oh, it felt really uncomfortable because I just knew she was going to say no. And
but what's funny is like
but then
sitting
she
here
said
now,
yes.
I did eventually say yes, and I was like, how cool that our parents. I really did forget that you told me that you asked my dad ahead of time.
Yeah, and
So
he
I
was
like, how cool that they were there. So my dad.
Were you?
Hmm?
Go ahead.
Oh, my dad's favorite story to tell was he, for some reason, was down in the end zone. I guess he had gone to get a drink, or maybe he just didn't. My dad didn't like to sit still, so he was probably just wandering.
Yeah.
And he was talking to a guy, and what was
that
all I remember is my dad's line.
So they didn't know. Okay, so I had told all of our families. They didn't actually know what was going on. I think they suspected, but I had convinced all of them to come to the game because I was like, okay, it's Kristi's last, homecoming. She's planned it. You need to be here. It's my last homecoming. So everybody was able to be there except for my grandparents because my granddad wasn't doing well at the time. So your dad didn't actually know yet.
Okay, this makes sense because I was trying to figure. I was like, so he's in the end zone and he's talking to a guy, to just some random guy who's down there, and the guy says, "What does the guy say?"
The guy says, "Hey, I think they just got engaged."
And my dad says, the guy says, "Hey, that's funny. They just got engaged." And my dad said, "Hey, what's really funny is that's my daughter." That's his line. That was his line.
Yeah.
My dad always.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
But now thinking about me 23 years later, I was a planner. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you were out of line, you were 2 years early. Mm-hmm. And so what's funny?
Oh, geez.
Well, I'm like, that was such a bad thing, but I even did say yes because I probably was thinking like, oh, well, in 2 years, then we'll do it. And we'll do it in San Marcos or College Station, wherever we ended up for our master's.
I fully intended, though, to have a long engagement.
I did. Well, and I also, so what's funny is after he proposed to me, like I went back to school for student teaching that next Monday, and I told him I'd gotten engaged, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to teach. And they were like, what are you talking about? You told us that you weren't going to teach. I was like, I don't know. I think I'm just going to teach. And that was it. Like I interviewed with Galena Park. I planned to come back, and it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, I just let go of that whole, like,
Our whole life changed in that weekend.
Yeah. He asked me to marry him, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll move home and I'll teach and you'll still work.
Here we go.
It was weird, but now I know now why it needed to be that way. But it took me a long time to get there.
Yeah. I mean,
you're lucky.
All the way back to the locker room, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Well, it took me a lot of years to get to the point like this was like the way that our life is played out is the way it's supposed to, it wasn't just happy. Mm-hmm.
Way to go, James. The way you MacGyvered that. Like, and you know what else I think? This is in my brain. The old Sammy that came and was being Sammy so you could do that. I bet you made his life like, to come back, it's something you did and you do, and you're like, to have that opportunity to get back on that field one more time.
So asking this particular guy was very intentional because the year before 2 years before, I was brand new with the mascotting thing. And so he asked if he could come back at homecoming and perform as Sammy for a quarter. And I told him no, because I was feeling very territorial then. I mean, this guy was like a legend. He actually got suspended as Sammy for rappelling down there's this big brick wall at Bauer Stadium, and he rappelled down it. He was in ROTC. And so he did it as Sammy and got suspended for it.
Yikes.
So like he was like a legend in the school. And I told him, no, you can't perform. So I felt really, really bad about that once I got to thinking about it. So I was really intentional about having this particular guy back. His name's Chris Gill. He's a really great guy.
But what's been fun,
that's so cool.
We still went to homecoming for years, and because like James started this with Chris, like it became a thing then for the mascots for the Sammys to let the old Sammys
at the homecoming.
So we have pictures of both kids as babies with him in the mascot suit holding them.
Yeah, they don't do
that.
But
it's so cool, but just for that small time, what a neat thing. And everybody wants that to go back and
just one more minute.
Just one more minute. And something that you enjoy so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love that. Kristi was videotaping hard. that part really too.
She really was. Did you go get the picture?
So Brenda, you'll be so proud of me. I know right where the picture is.
Yeah, because she put it in an album here.
Oh my gosh, that's right. That was your anniversary present. She finally put all the pictures in an album.
Yeah, so she knows exactly where it is, and you can see her like intently, like holding this camera.
Yeah.
It's so great. So,
So,
so what were you doing at this time?
what do you mean?
This was October
Oh,
18th of 1996. What were you doing that day? What were you
96.
wearing?
What was I wearing? October. Actually, I had just moved to Austin
Oh,
with
that's where
with
we
my
were
friend.
supposed to move.
Yeah, with my friend Sandy, and my parents had just it was we moved I moved there in August, and my parents had moved out of the house I grew up in August of 96. So 2 months later I was probably looking for a job still, because I I didn't have a job when I moved up there, and I remember it took me a little bit to find a job. But yeah,
What
I
kind
was
of
in
job were you
Austin.
looking for? What were you wanting to do?
Um, so I ended up an office admin,
Mm,
and
okay.
I ended up working at a Christian talk radio station, Kixel, KIXL, 390, and it was one of my favorite jobs. I loved it, and I love an office job. I was going to say this earlier when you were talking about y'all were the original Jim and Pam, but I think that's why this show has been like just legendary, is because the office situation. Like I told Alex and Matt this. I was like, I don't. You have to work in an office even if it's for a month or 2 months, a summer. I was like, it really is. You learn a lot, but just that whole dynamic is just it's spot on, that show.
Yeah.
All the characters.
You know what else is spot on? It's Office Space.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
you know what? I lived in Austin when they filmed that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good movie, Office Space. Show me the picture. I got to see this.
Okay. So this is
Oh,
Kristi.
Like videoing.
Yeah.
oh my
Somewhere there's
gosh,
a picture.
that is precious. Christy is holding the video camera on her
Let's see
shoulder,
something. And then
and there's
yeah.
James in his khakis and white shirt. Oh, look at that.
And then there's Mark picking us up on the gator.
Oh,
And
so cute.
and
There's Chris Gill in the.
yeah, and she's crying still. You can see her hand on her
Like
mouth.
her hand is on her mouth going, "What have you done?
Yeah. So
What have you done? Now I have to redo my calendars."
oh, so yeah.
Look at this. I just looked at this. Look how Mark's looking at me.
Yeah. He's like, "What's wrong with you, lady?"
Mark is like, oh, I'm still putting that on Facebook and telling him.
Oh, y'all, that's so fun. I just love that. I just love that story. So anyone out there that's listening who was at that game waiting for the girl to say yes, she did.
Yes.
Two
He
other
said
people got
yes.
engaged that day too.
One of them was like at
What?
the airplane with the thing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
forget what the other one did.
It was somebody just in the stands. Yeah, but two other people got engaged that same game. Mine was the best one.
That is so cool.
You should see who's still married. I really do feel like it's an accomplishment that after 22 years of like the world's most stubborn people being married, that we're both still alive. We have all of our like.
We're both too stubborn to get divorced.
Oh, a song. If I made you a mixtape.
If you made, yeah.
So should I give him the song that we talked about, or should I give him the song?
Have you ever made me a mixtape? I don't think you have.
So
well, did I say this?
He says stuff like this, and he wants me to. And then when I answer, he's like, "No, that was somebody else." Oh, did we watch Forrest Gump in the theater? No, that was him.
Yeah. Well, I think you should, if that's the song that you thought of, I think you should. I didn't even ask where that came from. Okay. Kristi and James call each other boy. She calls him boy, and he calls her girl. When and how and why?
I don't know. I think, well, I really think going back to Carlton used to call me, he would say, evil girl. And
Okay, Carlton.
So do you think it came from that? But we've just, even in student activities, even when we were dating, we were boy and girl. And so it started early on that at some point on this episode, you said something about Kristi, and I was like,
oh,
yeah, when we use each other's names, traditionally it's been
boy.
not a good thing.
like when I
oh.
say,
I'm trying to correct that, but
Okay.
He's trying to swing that boat around. I'm like, I don't change his path on anything. So
I think I call her a girl because I'm really bad at remembering names. So like it would have been really, really awkward if I had gotten up to the altar and couldn't remember her name.
Right.
So just
Do you,
laid that foundation early and just called her girl.
Ross,
that way.
take the.
So this was a long game then.
Oh yeah, it's a long game.
So y'all call each other boy and girl. So if Kristi made you a mixtape, she had this song in mind, although a new song popped in my mind. So, but you go ahead. What is your song for
now
James?
I don't want to give him this song. Like, what's it like? You're a big fat.
It's the
jerk
Benny Hill
song.
theme song, isn't it?
Oh, Benny Hill. Love that
Which
theme
I
song.
can't tell you how many times that was on James's mascot tape. Like that was the only apparently soundtrack for mascot.
You know what? Back in the
Benny Hill.
day, that was about the only zany song there was.
Dude, the little old grandpa man that was on that show, God bless him. I loved him.
Wait, Benny Hill?
No, not Benny Hill. Well, there was Benny Hill, but there was a little guy.
Oh, that little guy.
That little short guy
The
was
old
kind of
guy that
scrawny.
yeah.
He looked really old.
Okay.
Like Benny Hill was probably like 60, and this guy was like 80.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he would just like come in and come out like at random times.
Okay, back to this mixtape.
This mixtape.
I don't know. Like I don't think he deserves a song.
Come on, Kristi, go ahead and tell me.
I love y'all.
My song is Remember When We Were Mine.
Is it?
That's your song.
Oh my God. There is a song called When You Were Mine. Prince wrote it, and Cyndi Lauper, it's on her She's So Unusual album.
Is there
There
a
you go.
song? There's a metal song that's something about like that.
Useless Facts by Brenda. Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me what is y'all, do y'all have a song? Like couples have a song. What's your song?
Yeah, we have a song, but we can't remember why it's our song.
Our song, like our actual song, like if you say what's your song, it's
What's your song?
I Love You Always Forever by Donna Lewis.
I love you always forever.
And we don't know why. Like nobody knows why that's our song.
I know why it is.
Do you?
Yes.
That's
Because whatever you're going through, whatever happens, I love you always forever. I think yeah.
Okay.
I do.
So, but originally when we started this endeavor
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about having James on as a guest,
Yes.
my song for you in my head is John Lennon's Beautiful Boy, because I call you boy and because you're still the most beautiful boy I've ever met. And I love that song. I love, and also that song. So it's a song that a father sings to a son.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think of you as a father thinks of a son, but one of the things that I've always loved about that song is that's where the line life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm misspeaking that, I apologize. So Beautiful Boy by John Lennon.
Yeah, John Lennon didn't actually come up with that, but it's a great lyric.
Well, it's a great song.
Every like all the sweet moments. So thank you for that. That was your gift from me. So, but
Thanks for that.
But I do. I think you embody
you know what?
You're beautiful on the outside and on the inside, James.
No mixtape for you. No, Brenda, stop lying to him. You are a jerk. You are a jerk, jerkity jerk. You're a jerk dog.
Hey y'all, are you still watching? Are you still listening? Oh, hey Mom. We're so glad that you're still with us. If you want to connect online, we're at www.normalbiaspodcast.com, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. And our very favorite, if we made you a mixtape, we'd put all those songs on our Spotify playlist for you. All the things.